Welcome to U8 Soul.
Is it a bright idea or a flash in the pan? Today on U8 Soul, take a creative expedition into uncharted brain terrain.
Okay, now, this is all, the ideal world. There are some problems. Sometimes we get a barrier. We get a barrier to speaking our ideas. Now, we did the Trigger Talks exercise. We were practicing using our voice. We were practicing not being afraid to spontaneously connect with a thought. Can anyone think of some other barriers that there might be to expressing our ideas?
Wouldn't it be other people? Like negative influences?
Exactly. Okay, what kind of negative influences?
Well, if the other person involved is saying no, if you just have different end point ideas and you're not open to the next step into developing the idea, that's going to create a roadblock. But if everyone's saying, yeah, you know what, that's a good idea, and they actually listen to what everyone's suggestions are, then you can come to some kind of consensus. But if one person in the group is saying no, and not having an open mind, then you're not going to develop any ideas.
Right. Go ahead.
Say that you're in like an office environment, office politics, you don't like your boss, you don't like your coworker, can really get in the way of any sort of brainstorming ideas.
Exactly.
Or family too.
Yeah, family for sure.
Parents, teenagers, that kind
So have you ever had the sensation where you're talking about ideas with someone and you get an idea and it kind of comes halfway up your throat and then you don't say it, you stop it?
You can be intimidated as well.
You're intimidated, you're thinking the idea maybe it's not going to go over so well, maybe it's too expensive, maybe it's not appropriate.
Thought heartburn, it sounds like.
Exactly, it is thought. Reflux of some sort, intellectual reflux.
There you go.
So in order to really be efficient at brainstorming, we have to acknowledge that there are certain barriers, and the barriers are really part of human nature. And criticism and being afraid, that's all part of human nature. It's nothing to be embarrassed about or nothing to be afraid of. But what you have to do is really acknowledge that it exists. Now there's something else that's a barrier to idea generation. It's called pattern thinking. Has anyone heard of pattern thinking?
No.
Okay.
Structured thinking?
Pattern thinking is the way in which we are educated or socialized to think. For example, reading is recognizing patterns of letters.
Yeah.
This is good. When we learn to drive, we learn to recognize patterns of traffic. We learn that red means stop, green means go, and yellow means drive like hell.
Speed up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So these patterns are really important for us to learn because they're essential for our survival. We don't want to be in car accidents. We want to learn to read and so on and so forth. But the only problem is when it comes to generating ideas, to expanding our thought beyond our normal perceptions, is that pattern thinking can limit us. Now the problem with pattern thinking is that it's so much a part of the way we think, we don't even know that our thinking is limiting. Like you don't know what you don't know. So I'm going to have you guys do a little bit of an exercise with your bodies to show how pattern thinking limits your body movement. And then we'll extrapolate from there. So can I have you, I know some of you are sitting in an awkward position, but I need you to adopt the typical defensive body position with your arms, which is the hands crossed over the chest.
Okay.
Okay. So you get comfortable.
This should be easy for you, Danny.
And everybody at home, stand up, cross your arms.
Yeah, everybody at home can do this. So notice which hand is tucked in which elbow and which hand is on top.
Okay.
Now reverse it.
Oh, it feels weird.
It feels weird.
I can't even think of it. I had to sit there and go,
How does that
For a
work?
second, yeah.
Okay, now think about this. Somewhere when you were very small, you arbitrarily crossed your arms in a certain way. You didn't really think about, maybe you were starting to favor one arm or the other. Then the next time you go to do it, you already kind of have a bit of a habit. And then the next time more of a habit, and the next time more of a habit, until it gets to a point when you do this, you don't even think about which arm goes over which arm.
Now that's not just because we're genetically predisposed to have a dominant arm, or like a dominant hand.
It could be, but that may lead you to cross your arms that way the first time. But then you'll always, like nobody is ambidextrous when they cross their arms. It's a certain function like this. Now I'll get you to do this again. Cross your fingers over like this. Notice which hand has the top finger and then switch it. Does it feel like you're holding someone else's hand?
Wow, this feels weird, yeah.
Okay.
I find that too when you're walking along the street if you're with your boyfriend. I have a certain direction of hands. Like if I go on top, I hate it and I can't stand it, but underneath is more comfortable.
That's
Boyfriend.
Yeah.
Well, if I had a boyfriend.
The fictional boyfriend.
Yeah.
Again, that's a pattern. That's a pattern of behavior you develop with that particular boyfriend. So if you extrapolate to your thinking, there's certain ways that you think that you don't even know you're thinking because you've just always done it that way.
Just do it that way. Yeah.